What is going on, guys and gals? It is your boy J-Love coming back at you with another video. In this video, like the title says, we're going to be talking about tariffs and how they can affect trucking. Guys and gals, thank you so much for being a part of this video, and thank you for being a part of this channel. My name is Jason, co-owner of Flash Love Logistics LLC. We are a trucking company out of Missouri. Started with one non-cdl hotshot setup. We currently have risen up to about 7 setups with semi-trucks, full-size CDL, non-CDL, doing all of it, right? We've gone through a lot of bumps, gone through a lot of hard times, but been able to grow through and learn from those times that we had. And that's what I do on the channel is I try to share with you what worked for us, what hasn't worked for us, and just give you insights based off experiences that I have had. Now, I also offer business consultations, so if you're new and wanting to get into trucking, don't know where to start, whether you're doing hot shot or full size, you just have a lot of questions, you want to see if it's something for you, you can actually go to howtohotshot.com and you can put in a contact form. I'll contact you and we can talk about having a consultation. If you're somebody who has a trucking company, maybe you're struggling and you need someone to kind of help you out a little bit, look at your systems, kind of be in your corner, you know, maybe you've gone through some tough times yourself and you wanted to prepare yourself better for the future, definitely hit me up, howtohotshot.com. Let's not take any more time and let's get into the video. Now, I found this article here at truckinginfo.com. It says how latest Trump tariffs could affect trucking. I want to give you guys the opportunity to go to this article and read it. It's pretty long, but it has a lot of good insights of what we can see. Now, I think the tariffs, for example, we understand that they might cause issues in the short term, but can they actually be beneficial in the long term? That is what we're going to be talking about for our companies, right? If we're watching this, we're either in trucking right now with our own companies or we're wanting to open our own trucking companies. Now, obviously, this is something that can definitely change our minds or maybe push us to do something else with our lives. This is going to be a big negative effect. Now, I went through this article and I kind of picked out some key points, but I want to start with something that's very important. We got to talk about the ports, right? The ports are something that are going to play a factor in your trucking world. Well, it really depends on what you haul, right? So we do flatbed and step deck, and when we're in Baltimore, or we're in Los Angeles, or we're down on East Coast or West Coast, we go to the ports a lot. We pick up a lot from the ports, and sometimes we go and drop off at the ports. It's not our favorite thing to do, but it does play a part in our operations. I would say no more than 10% of our operations are either a port pickup or a port drop off. But when I first heard of these tariffs, that's what my thoughts went. It went to the ports, right? We have a lot of trucking companies out there that are container movers, right? That's what they do. That's the only thing they do. They might do it locally. They might do it over the road. But I definitely see that there's going to be a drop at the ports. And that's what this article is actually explaining. It says, goods from China, of course, are a large part of the imports coming into West Coast ports. To an interview with Political last Friday, Gene Soroka, executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, said he's expecting a drop in cargo at the port in the second half of the year, at least 10%. Part of that is the expected high prices on goods as importers pass along tariffs to their customers. If tariffs end up being less than what was announced last week, that might not be a problem. Now, we know right now, China imports China tariffs are up to 125%. We're going to be in a trade war, I think, for a little bit. Who knows what's going to happen next with that? So if you're somebody who hauls goods from China, I mean, that's probably, you're going to be the most affected at this moment, right? Obviously, we're hoping that some sort of a trade deal can be aligned, that we're not going to see, this huge, massive tariff on them for a very long time, that, we can get a better trade deal on our end in the United States. They can have, an honest, good trade deal on their end. Everybody can be happy, right? But this is something I think that's going to be long lasting, is the effect of what's going on right now. Whether the tariffs are a super huge number or not, I think this is going to restructure how our trade is done. So if you're a company that moves a lot of Chinese-made goods, products, like say you're doing dry van or something of the sorts, this is something you have to definitely be thinking about. Now, a lot of stuff comes from China, and I know that's probably going to affect every trucking company in one way or another. But if you're somebody who, for example, you're doing a step deck and you're hauling more heavy equipment around the United States, you don't work in the ports as much, you're not going to be as affected in my opinion. But what are the plus sides of the tariffs? What are we trying to do here? And that's really trying to boost domestic manufacturing. Now, that might take some time, but boosting domestic manufacturing, I think, can be a great thing for trucking in the long run. And if we're making goods here or transporting goods here, that's where I think that's going to be a boost in trucking more than it's going to be a negative, obviously. But some of the potential drawbacks, and this is just going through this article, definitely go take a A look at this article goes through a lot of really, really, really good things. But some potential drawbacks, obviously increased operational cost. Tariffs on imported materials may raise the cost of truck parts, maintenance, leading to higher operational expenses for trucking companies. Obviously, we've seen kind of the back and forth with Mexico. We know a lot of parts come from Mexico, a lot of parts come from China as well. But that can definitely cause an increase in equipment costs, reduce freight demand. Higher prices on imported goods could lead to decreased consumer demand. This is where kind of the problem is going to lie. If prices go up, less people are going to buy, resulting in fewer goods to transport and negatively impacting freight volume. So I think in the short term, we might see a drop in freight just because there are less consumers purchasing because stuff costs more. Cross-border trade disruptions. Tariffs affecting trade with countries like Mexico and Canada could disrupt cross-border supply chains, leading to delays and reduced efficiency in freight movement. So if you're somebody who runs cross-border, right? If you're somebody who hauls from Mexico to the United States or from Canada to the United States, you can definitely see some issues there. Obviously, I think we're at a point with Canada and Mexico where we can have a better trade deal with them, which could definitely boost imports and exports. But as of now, I think it definitely can be negatively affected. And then the last one is just equipment cost increases. The American Trucking Association, the ATA, if you don't know about the ATA, look them up, warns that new tariffs could increase the price of new trucks by up to $35,000, posing financial challenges, especially for smaller carriers. So this is really what happens here, my friends, is if the parts cost more, if we're getting parts from China, if we're getting parts from Mexico, and they're being tariffs at the yin-yang, we're going to pay more for our trucks. Now, what is the plus side of all of this, and what's the future supposed to look like, and why is this occurring? Is to boost domestic manufacturing. Can we make these trucks in the U.S.? Can we make our steel in the U.S.? Can we get our lumber from the U.S.? Can we keep it in the U.S. and sell it to U.S. Builders and sell it to U.S. Sell to U.S. customers, basically. That's what it all comes down to. And I think once we get to the point where these manufacturing plants are opening up and we can have a semi-truck that every single part on that truck is built and made in the U.S., obviously those parts are still going to be more expensive than what we would get from China or from these other countries. There's a reason that we pull these parts from these companies because they cost less. They cost less to manufacture. But why do they cost less to manufacture? A big part of that is because of slave labor rates that they're paying the people to work on them. And obviously we don't want that either. But I'm hoping that we can, and I think we will, have a lot more domestic manufacturing when it comes to parts for our trucks and manufacturing of goods that are going to be put on the back of a semi-truck in the U.S. They're sold to U.S. customers, and they're used by U.S. customers, and that even if our prices do increase, that the economy would be in a better place to where our dollar can be stretched further, right? We have to understand that a lot of things, whether they increase in price and decrease in price, it a lot of times revolves around the dollar losing its value or gaining its value. So we might see some short-term problems with tariffs. I think that's definitely going to occur at some level when it comes to trucking. But I do think we can see a bigger blessing from tariffs when it comes to domestic manufacturing. We can also see fuel prices going down, which is definitely going to help us on our profit margin. So we might see a decrease in freight a little bit, but fuel prices might be down to kind of counteract the issues that were occurring. But as domestic manufacturing boosts, and I think it'll boost quick, I think we're going to see a lot more loads on the board. I think we're going to see a lot more USA-made goods that are hauled by USA carriers that are going to USA customers. And that, I think, is a beautiful, great thing for trucking. So there are going to be some negatives, but I think the positive is going to outweigh them. Hopefully, I'm hopeful about it. But I hope you guys learned something from this video. Go to this article, read it for yourself. These are some of the hot points of it. But like I said, if you need consultation, hit me up at howtohotshot.com. I'm grateful you guys are here, and I hope you all have a great day.